Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys, peep game. You know what? You have to understand when it comes to certain media, this is why the NFL is afraid of outside media. And what I mean by outside media is people like me and Ticket TV and Too Raw and people that are, outside and basically operate on their own. Basically, they're not backed by anybody, and basically they don't have ties to any of these sports leagues. So with that being said, basically what I'm saying is if they can't control us, then they don't want to deal with us because we're not going to follow a script, and we're not going to turn a blind eye to blatant, obvious antics. And I listened to what Too Raw said about the NFL, and that was spot on. And sometimes I feel that way too. But I feel as a person that do media, and primarily my channel is called the Sports Channel, I feel like to a certain degree I have to do it. But due to the fact that I have to do it, and due to the fact that I am not tied to the NFL, which means that I don't get media credentials or none of that stuff, or I get special access to NFL games and the commissioner and people affiliated with the NFL. That means due to the fact that I'm not considered affiliate, I pretty much can say what the fuck I want to say. We all know that when it comes to ESPN and some of these major media outlets, they're not going to say what need to be said and call out the obvious. Well, I'm going to call out the obvious. Now, many of us, and I mean pretty much many of us or all of us, was in agreement with this Deshaun Watson thing. Like, okay, if you're going to suspend the dude, okay, fine. That's fine. Leave it at that. Give him 6 games and let him back on the field, and we just move on from this. But come to find out today, Deshaun Watson's suspension has been extended to 11 games instead of 6 games, which means he pretty much is going to miss a large proportion of the season. And really, to be honest with you, 11 games with basically 6 more to go because it's a 17-game season. Who knows where the Cleveland Browns will be as far as, contention goes. So basically, Deshaun Watson will miss a total in 2 years, well over 20 games. Okay. He already didn't play last year, and he's not going to play the majority of this year. And depending on how they do, who knows? He may not see the field anyway. And it's amazing. Roger Goodell blatantly did something that if you don't call it what it is, then at the end of the day, you're a coward. I thought what Roger Goodell did by going out of his way to get Deshaun Watson suspended even more game just showed who he really is. Now, keep in mind, Ben Roethlisberger, like I said, read Ben Roethlisberger transcripts compared to Deshaun Watson's. It's pretty much the same thing. But Ben Roethlisberger originally was suspended for 6 games, and it got reduced to 4. And Roger Goodell helped get Ben Roethlisberger back on the field. His fellow Mayonnaise Nation member. But of course, he talking about the transcripts he's heard about Deshaun Watson was predatory behavior, and he wanted the extension extended when a woman had already agreed. Now, they might can appeal, which I think they should appeal, and see can they get it dropped down. To me, let it stay at 6 and leave it at that. But for him to go out of his way to get his suspension extended, and it's amazing. Nobody wants to call this out. And see, this is why I don't respect a lot of these dudes in mainstream media, because they scared to talk about this type of shit. Now, there is this thing now where in mainstream media, when it pertains to black men, hey, don't victimize them. Don't, portray them as victims even when something happens to them. Or at the end of the day, when they do something, go to the extreme to demonize them, vilify them. And that's what they did with Deshaun Watson. Keep in mind, they didn't have enough evidence to file criminal charges against him. That's a red flag right there. But then he's suspended for 11 games. And I saw some of those transcripts of what's supposed to have happened. Very suspicious. And I want to bring something to your attention that they ignore. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Ezekiel Elliott, I think, was suspended before a few years ago. Now, keep in mind, the NFL, they did a, to me, semi-bogus investigation, and they left out crucial information. There were transcripts and text messages that Ezekiel Elliott turned in where the woman in question said, well, if you don't do what I say or comply, I'm gonna put stories out about you, and they're gonna believe me over you because I'm white and you're black. This is what that bitch said to him. This is what the bitch said to him. But, I saw the transcripts and I reported it. But of course, they left that out. First Take didn't talk about that. Fox Sports didn't talk about that. MSNBC Sports didn't talk about that. See, they seem to leave out crucial information, just like primarily mainstream media didn't talk about what was said to T.O. It wasn't a big story. It was one of those fly-by-night stories. ESPN didn't really do a whole bunch of segments on that lady blatantly saying you're a black man approaching a white woman, because at the end of the day, the objective is not to portray a black man as a villain. It's about it's about demonizing him and saying what he shouldn't do and how disappointed you is in a brother and all that kind of stuff. And they get over by finding and using black people to do their dirty work. But yeah, Roger Goodell, to me, he's a suspect white supremacist. And I'm calling his white ass out for that. But this is why they won't talk to people like me. This is why when they had the NFL draft in Las Vegas, this is why they were playing games with the media and stuff as far as, covering the fight go. Because there was a fight that weekend. There was a fight going on that weekend. And I noticed that to a certain degree, they were trying to cut us off and trying to keep us from getting access to the NFL players because they were scared we might ask them certain questions. They were scared we might ask Roger Goodell certain questions. And don't think it's a coincidence. But this is why these guys do the stuff they do. This is why they are afraid of independent media such as myself and Too Raw and Ticket TV and other people. Because they know that we're going to ask them real questions. Oh, and by the way, don't think for a second that they don't watch these videos and that they don't know who we are. I know for a fact that mainstream basketball media know who Ticket TV is. I know for a fact that ESPN and Stephen A. Smith know who Too Raw is. And I know for a fact that a lot of people in the boxing circuit and the basketball circuit know who I am. I know for a fact that Stephen A. Smith knows who the fuck I am. He knows who Too Raw is because he's always stealing Too Raw's fucking content. He steals Ticket TV's content. You guys don't think that they watch us? Yeah, keep thinking that they don't watch little channels like mine. You sadly mistaken. They have to see what's going on out there in the internet streets too. They have to be up to date. And they have to try to be as hip and fresh as possible. They don't want to seem stagnant and old. So that's why they watch channels like mine and Two Raw, Ticket TV, Champside, and other people. That's just real talk. And ain't nothing wrong with that. That's cool. You don't have to give us our props, because at the end of the day, we know you motherfuckers is watching. But anyway, yeah, like I said before, there you go with Roger Goodell. Goes out of his way to, look out for his fellow Mayonnaise Nation member and Ben Roethlisberger, but then he wants to lower the boom on Deshaun Watson. He wants him to pay a penalty, pay a price, 11 games and a $5 million fine. But my thing is, how come you ain't coming after Dan Snyder like that? What about allegations with Bob Kraft? You quietly, you know what I'm saying, swept under the rug with the former Carolina Panthers owner, Jerry Richardson. Kind of that went away. But this Deshaun Watson thing, they love to do it to black men. They love to put us on the big screen. But then when it comes to them, they like to minimize it. But it's all good. This your boy Town Biz, and I'm fucking out.